Dziś wyjątkowa okazja. W papuziej telewizji gościmy znaną amerykańską behawiorystkę.
Hi, my name is Barbarą Heidenreich and I am an animal trainer. I travel around the world teaching people how to have a great relationship with the animal in their lives.
Zawsze powtarzasz.
It's about positive reinforcement. So the idea is instead of having to dominate an animal or be the boss or tell him what to do, you're going to make it fun for him to do what it is you're asking him to do.
One of the things that I really promote is a kind and gentle approach to animal training. So we don't have to dominate animals or make them obey. We don't have to be the bad guy. We get to be the good guy.
Jednak osoby, które z zewnątrz patrzą na Twoje metody treningu, nie zawsze dowierzają, jak na przykład dziennikarz w tym wywiadzie radiowym.
But when you give the treats, are you changing their habits, or are you just bribing them?
No, it's a great question. You know, people think that it's inappropriate to give an animal something for doing something really well.
No właśnie, ale co byś odpowiedziała osobom, które dopatrują się w takich metodach przekupstwa, które uważają, że przysmak w zamian za zrobienie czegoś to nic innego jak łapówka i że to nieetyczne. No bo to wygląda trochę tak, jakbyś uzależniała papugi od przysmaków jak od narkotyków. Czy takie uzależnienie papugi od siebie nie można nazwać dominowaniem nad nią i byciem jej szefem? Jak więc wyjaśnisz to ludziom, którzy widzą w tym łapówki, uzależnienie, czy właśnie dominację nad papugą?
One of the things about behavior science is that every organism on this planet either does behavior to gain something they desire or to avoid something that they don't like. Doesn't matter whether you're a human, a parrot, or an amoeba. Research has shown it over and over again. All we're doing is we are harnessing the laws of nature that already exist to influence parrot behavior. So whether I use a food item that the parrot likes, a toy item that the parrot likes, our attention, a scratch on the head, all I'm doing is taking advantage of things that already exist in the environment to influence animal behavior. It's no different than you choosing to go to the movies or reinforce your spouse for washing the dishes or picking up the laundry or telling your child they did a great job on their tests so that hopefully they'll perform those great test scores later on in the future. It's nothing abnormal, it's perfectly normal. And there's nothing wrong with telling your parrot that it did a great job, and so hopefully they'll do that again in the future. Personally, I think it's a great way to train, makes your parrot feel good, helps develop a wonderful bond and relationship with your animal, and you'll get great behavior over and over and over again in the future. Much better than trying to force your animals where you get fear responses and aggressive behavior. I'd much rather be my parrot's partner, my parrot's friend, than be my parrot's boss. So I'll take positive reinforcement any day. You want to call me a briber? I have no problem with that. I have great relationships with animals and I would love for everyone to experience that with their animal as well.
W Polsce są głosy, że papugi to zwierzęta dzikie i nieudomowione i dlatego nie powinny razem z nami mieszkać w naszych domach. Co byś odpowiedziała na te zarzuty?
Well, I guess it's a mixed thing. I mean, I certainly enjoy seeing parrots in the wild, and I've had some wonderful opportunities to see parrots out in the wild. I've also believed that my compassion and caring for parrots has come from having parrots in my home, so I sort of walk in both worlds. I enjoy having parrots, but I also believe in training parrots so that I can give them a good quality of life, and I think that's a really important part of it.
W Polsce mamy naciski, aby zaprzestać ręcznego karmienia papug. Czy ty też uważasz, że papugi do towarzystwa nie powinny być ręcznie wykarmione?
Yeah, no, I don't have an answer for you on this. Yeah, so how do I want to answer this?
Dlaczego? Ale czy na papugi do towarzystwa lepiej nadają się twoim zdaniem papugi karmione przez naturalnych rodziców, czy te wykarmiane przez ludzi?
I think a parrot's growth and development is very complex, just as any bird's is. It isn't really black and white hand rearing or parent rear. There's so much that happens in between there, and it really depends also on what people do with the parrots in terms of their training and behavior. So whether a bird is hand raised or parent reared really depends on what happens afterwards. If you don't train that bird, even if it was hand-raised, it's not going to be a great companion animal. So I don't really have a strong position either way, because it still comes down to, is that parrot trained or not? So I'm not really a person who takes a strong stance when somebody says it has to be this way or it has to be that way, because when it comes to animal behavior, it's never always this way or always that way. You really have so many factors that are involved with animal behavior.
Rozumiem, że dla Ciebie jako profesjonalnego trenera nie ma znaczenia, jakie papugi łatwiej wytrenować, bo Ty potrafisz wytrenować każde zwierzę. Ale jakie papugi są łatwiejsze do ułożenia dla przeciętnego posiadacza papug, który nie jest fachowcem od treningu?
Yeah, hand-raised or parent-raised, it really doesn't make a difference. Because what will happen if you don't train the bird, you can still have a very poor companion animal if you don't train it. You still need to train. I've seen plenty of parent-raised birds that are fantastic if they're trained, and I've seen plenty of hand-raised birds that become poor quality companion animals if they're not trained. Still comes down to training with positive reinforcement, in my opinion, no matter what.
A czy uważasz, że papugi są niebezpieczne?
Again, I think that's too broad of a statement. Blanket statements about animal behavior based on how they were raised is just too broad of a statement. Animal behavior is far more complex. Animal learning is happening from the moment they're hatched all the way through the moment that they pass away, and that's influenced by so many different factors. So we can never say it's just about what happened in those first moments of life. What's going to be influencing their behavior is what we teach them throughout their entire process of learning. So are we influencing behavior using force-free techniques? Are we influencing behavior using coercive techniques? If we learn the proper techniques that are kind and gentle and improve animal welfare, we can give animals a great quality of life no matter what conditions they are in, whether they are in human homes, whether they are in zoological facilities, whether they are in conservation projects. We have the power to create great, wonderful welfare using techniques based in behavior science that are focused on positive reinforcement and force-free strategies.
Do niedawna uważano, że w stadach papug nie ma hierarchii dominacyjnej. Jednak ostatnie badania Twojej rodaczki Elizabeth Hobson nad mnichami nizinnymi wykazały jednoznacznie, że jednak ona istnieje. Czy w związku z tymi badaniami zmieniłaś zdanie na ten temat?
I don't know that research, so I wouldn't be able to comment on it, I'm afraid.
But in captivity?
I would say I don't know about Quaker parrots in particular showing a dominance hierarchy. In general, most parrot species do not exhibit dominance hierarchies. I can't comment on Quaker parrots, but I certainly don't see it in other species.
Czyli Ty nadal uważasz, że papugi nie próbują nas zdominować, ale czy nie myślisz jednak, że Ty nie zauważasz ich dominacji, bo Ty je trenujesz i przez to sama stajesz się dominującą nad nimi?
Dominance is defined as competition for resources, and so an animal may exhibit dominance in the sense that they get to the resources before another animal does, but we don't have dominance in the sense that a parrot tries to dominate us, the way that people use that to describe aggressive behavior. That just doesn't exist in parrot behavior.
A czy papugi do towarzystwa można trzymać pojedynczo, czy też powinny być trzymane w parach?
One of the things we do in behavior science is we look at animals as individuals and we look at their welfare as individuals. So if an animal responds well to companionship of another individual animal, then we look at that as something that we try to provide. Some animals respond well to other birds. Some animals respond well to human companionship. So providing a human companion may satisfy the needs of one bird, but it may be an aversive to another bird. Providing another animal companion may be desired by one bird, but it may not be desired by another bird. So again, I'm not somebody that says it's all or nothing. I look at the individual animal and see what's best for the needs of that particular animal. So I can't say that all parrots deserve another parrot. I can't say that all parrots deserve a human as a companion. It depends on that individual, what's going to work best for that individual. Some parrots are very social. Some parrots are not very social. It depends on that individual, depends on that species. And I will always look at all animals that I work with in that manner. I can't say a rule is always going to be best for each individual animal. That's how animal behavior works. One solution may be appropriate for this individual, but may not be appropriate for another individual.
Niektóre kraje europejskie wprowadziły prawną regulację trzymania papug, pojedynczo czy w parach. Czy według Ciebie jest to wskazane?
All animal behavior is complex. It's not as black and white as making a law.
Czy osoby, które tak jak ty często podróżują lub pracują na pełen etat, mogą mieć papugi?
I do travel a lot for a living, and I've done this for many years. My parrots are very accustomed to me being on the road, but it's because change is normal for them. When I'm home quite a bit, more than the average person, and when I'm on the road, I may be gone for a stretch of time. I think it balances out in the long run, so instead of being gone 5 days a week and only home on the weekends, I might be home for 3 or 4 weeks at a time and then gone for 3 weeks at a time. But change is normal for my parrots. They don't necessarily get fed at the same time of the day and go out into the aviary at the same time of the day or get the same amount of time from me every single day, but that's normal for them. When I come home, they're not overly excited. They're like, oh, you're here. And same with my dogs. So for them, change is normal, and because of that, it doesn't create this problem behavior because it's just a normal part of their lives. Change is just the norm, so it doesn't seem abnormal for them to have a lack of routine.
Czy to znaczy, że twoim zdaniem ludzie, którzy często są nieobecni w domu, też mogą mieć papugę i powinni od samego początku przyzwyczajać ją do takich właśnie zmian?
They don't have to have a routine. Just don't make it so that their life is so rigid so that animals are expecting the same thing every single day so that they become accustomed to having change in their lives.
Thank you very much. Have a good time in Poland.
Thank you.